Hello and welcome back to Talon 101. This is the third way you probably would end a combo. And that's on the classic while standing 4-4. Yeah, this is like all the way back. This is a throwback to Tekken 5, Tekken 4, even Tekken 6. Hey, actually, even in Tekken 7 as well. Because there's a new ender you can do. Yeah, it always involves RFF D+3, doesn't it? So yeah, you saw it there. RFF D+3 is one of the things you can do for a while standing 4-4 Oki. And if you do remember this classic Oki, RFF 3 was like your main option. Why was RFF 3 your main option? Because if the opponent did stay on the floor, right? They didn't want to tech. RFF 3 hits grounded. And the only way you could beat RFF 3 is if you did a side roll left. So just to showcase that here, a side roll left, that's when you lose. But basically, if they do any other option besides side roll left, they lost. Or they were waking up into blocking RFF 3. And if they wake up into block RFF 3, right? Well, number one, you could hit them with this. Or RFF 3-4 forward cancel, right? And hit them with RFS F4. Or just hit them with RFF 3 and they're thinking about like, oh, maybe it's RFS 3-4. Or RFF 3-4 forward. Because you're trying to like continue stealing your turn. Or like to have more offense on Oki. And RFF 3 by itself on block is still not bad. You're only -4. So at -4, you could still do some really cheeky things. Since you go back to left foot forward with like back 1, F3, slide 3. Even a power crush, much more so in Tekken 8 with the power crush. So since RFF 3 was kind of like the cornerstone of like this Oki, down back 4 became its best friend because down back 4 also like hits grounded, and the only way down back 4 was pretty much losing was that if they teched and they blocked it, right? But if they were like going to stand block here, then they get hit by it, and then you go +1. And then they have to like worry about RFS F4, RFS 2. And if they stay in place, that could become an RFS down 4. And now you lock them with RFS back 2. Yeah, it's pretty troublesome. Well, if those are the other two options, like what else can you pair up while standing 4-4 with? Well, interestingly, you can also do RFF down 3 because RFF down 3 now hits grounded. So like if they stay on the floor, right? And they do nothing. Throwing out RFF down 3, and like if you go through like down 3-4, you can still hit them with RFS options that will catch them as they wake up, or you do the RFF down 3, and then now you have the back turn mix up. Like you can hit them with a plasma blade, you can hit them with back turn 3, and if they wake up, you can hit with the fox step into a grab, or just like straight up grab, right? And that's gonna be a command throw. They're gonna have to break it with 1+2. It's pretty tough. And the only way they beat this is the same way they beat down back 4. They got the tech roll and block it. So it's just like, okay, what happens if they start focusing on the lows and they don't want to like get hit by RFF 3? Well, then that's when you can ask for plus frames in RFF back 2. And the only way RFF back 2 loses in this situation is that if the opponent side rolls. And I believe even if they do side roll, well, you're still recovering ahead of them. Which means you could do something like this, wherein your RFF back 2 whiffs, you see them side roll, they wake up to RFF D+3. And yes, speaking of RFF D+3, that is the last thing, or one of the last things I would recommend that you can do because, man, does it hit so low. It's so low. So now you have like 5 options to cycle through after you end the combo on while standing 4-4. Yeah, it's probably not the best ender, but if you have less amount of hits, or like you only have a few hits to use in the combo, or you were pretty far and it was like a low wall slump and you crouch dash into while standing 4, that's gonna hit because you won't be able to get, what do you call this? LFS 3-2 from that range. You wouldn't be able to get 3-3-2 in that range, right? That was 3-3-3. I meant to show 3-3-2, you wouldn't get that in that range. And since it was already like a low wall splatter, whatnot, you can't, what do you call this? 3F4. So that's where the while standing 4-4 comes in. And it's just like, okay, I sacrificed damage compared to those two options, but I still get really good Oki. So, of course, we're gonna go through all the options. But yeah, this, I believe, for the most part, the ground techniques, they don't activate. So we're gonna leave the ground technique here, the tech roll left. And just like RFS Avoid 3, if you do spike them, well, all of this are gone. It's just gone. All of it. Compared to like, if you spike them with running 3, then they'll have a back quick roll. So you can safely ignore this, and we're gonna stay with all wake ups. So again, I'm gonna start with a RFF 3 first. So DF1, down 2. And they're blocking that. But of course, again, you have a whole mix-up, as mentioned earlier, at -4. So still pretty tough to deal with for the opponent. And if they wake up backwards, they get hit. Same thing with the front roll, which again makes it a solid option to run. And again, even if it whiffs, you're still ahead. You can still check them. So you don't really find yourself at a disadvantage for the most part, ever. Like Hwoarang's always okay when it comes to hitting the opponent as they wake up after a combo. And it's the one thing you should take full advantage of, because this is where he's gonna get a lot of his damage. Most especially if like it was rare to get a combo to begin with. We're gonna cycle through now. This is gonna be RFF B+3. And wow, they're just waking up to that. Just waking up to the +1. And a potential wall splat as well. A potential wall splat for extra damage. So guaranteed hit. And then you can like probably do another down back 4 there. Follow up. The side roll. It's probably because of the wall, that's why it loses. Because here on side roll, right, yeah, it does lose. But again, they can't punish you as you wake up. You're fine. You're completely fine. Now the wake up mid. Say hello to pretty much a lot of damage, and then you still get them to wake up like this. Yeah, they're probably dead already. They're probably dead. It's over. So wake up low kick now. D3, same story. Recovery kick. D3. Yep, the opponent is always getting hit here. Very few options can beat this. Now we're gonna go back up. Go back to the next option. The other mid that you can pair up in this scenario. Yeah, that's right. So if you don't want to go -4, you don't go +1, you can now go +5 apparently as the opponent wakes up. So you get an extra 1 frame of advantage. And since it hits low enough as they tech, well, at that point, they can only, what do you call this? Side roll to avoid you. Side roll or stay on the floor. But again, you still have frames to work with here. It's not the end of the world at all. Okay, that's a down back 4. That would certainly meet whatever button they press there. RFF back 2, not a counter hit, but again, you take those extra hits. Always take those extra hits. Now that's a counter hit, and that's gonna be like a follow-up into an FF3 or a back 3 or a right plasma blade. And just watch the damage pretty much add up. Spring kick. Ooh. My notepad does not say that you're supposed to lose there. It is apparently consistent enough. So at which point, if I'm unable to beat this, it means you lose to 2 options instead of 1. Which is fine. At least it's not a knockdown into Oki. Yes, they get plus frames, but it means you can still block, you can still power crush back 1. Not the end of the world. So 2 options if you do RFF back 2. But hey, RFF D+3 and RFF 3, they still gotta be worried about that. So it's like, do they spring kick or not? Now we're gonna go to down back 4. DF1, down 2. Down back 4. Yeah, they get hit there. Wake up backwards. Down back 4. They flip over. That's the worst place to flip over, because that's more OP for Hwoarang. And the opponent just straight up will be in trouble at that point. Side roll, right? Wake up mid kick. Of course, that counter hit was not a standing counter hit. It was a low counter hit. This one's a standing counter hit. So if you did have Heat active, that is a free right to Parabellum kicks or RFF F4. And the opponent is in a lot of trouble. But yeah, so they just wake up into blocking your down back 4. And that's fine. So one last option to check here, which is RFF down 3. And yeah, they are taking that. Put them in a, again, pretty bad spot. Bring the block all just to be sure. We're now over at front roll. RFF down 3-4 still hits. That's still more Oki for you, the Hwoarang player. While standing 4-4. That's still really, really good. RFF down 3-4 again. Like the opponent, just like, damn it, they don't want to be on the floor anymore at that point. That's standing, and that's like big plus frames that you can just freely use at your disposal. Second to the last wake up kick, and you trade. Yes, you trade, and the opposing Hwoarang goes +10, but that's not a +10 they can use there. And spring kick as well wins here. That's fine. Let them have it, because you still have down back 4 and you still have RFF 3 and RFF D+3. And if they're hesitating a lot, well, that's where your RFF back 2 comes into play. So good old classics be working out very easily here. It's like, I want to spike them not face down. I want to spike my opponent face up. And then they gotta deal with pretty much all these options. So the classics, very, very reliable here. Just force the opponent to pretty much block, right? Because they can't, for the most part, react with a button. So this is a recording, and I'm gonna see if Hwoarang can press a button. Nope, I got hit. I'd have to side roll that one, right? So side roll. And no, I'm not punishing that. Not at all. Can't even like wake up into a rage art either. Speaking of rage art, gotta make sure that rage is in place. Recharge. And I tried to wake up to a rage art. It is what it is. So I'm now gonna press up to stand up. Yeah. One last try. See if you can avoid it with a rage art. No, you cannot. What about a power crush, right? Power crush. You're gonna press up. Nope. So challenges pretty much out the window as well. So yeah, you can choose whether you wanna like end combos on LFS 3F4, if you wanna end on the amazing LFS 3-2. But yeah, the classics, they do their job. And the newcomer, really, really strong. And the old school, still as reliable as ever. So these are the 3 wall combo samples, wall Okizeme samples for now. Again, I have been Frontier, and thank you for watching.